Hello and welcome back to the NAS Metal Production channel here at YouTube. Welcome to the last Metaltober edition of Album of the Week, at least for this year. So, what fitting album here to basically cap off this year's Metaltober edition of Album of the Week? And of course, this is episode number 32. What better album? Last year, I think I ended off with Gates to Purgatory, maybe? I think it was, but I can't remember at this point. Yes, I know, short-term memory loss. Hey, I'm only doing this for at least a long enough time. So, without further ado, let's definitely introduce the album that I'm spotlighting here as the last Metaltober edition of Album of the Week for 2018. So, without further ado, it's of course the album that you see the title of. That's of course is the most classic thrash metal album of all time. That's of course Darkness Descends by Dark Angel. Now, of course, I talked about We Have Arrived as a part of my cult metal albums or cult metal bands video for this month. So I had to definitely, since I really don't officially actually own this album, even though that's kind of ridiculous, but to be quite honest, this is kind of a difficult album to some extent if you really think about it. If you want to, for me who wants to own an original copy, this is definitely a bit of a difficult one to own for me, actually. Still, without that, there's no better way to talk about this and then as a Album of the Week episode. This is just it's like, where the hell do I start with this album? When it comes to, of course, this being the nostalgic edition, there's no other nostalgic album than Darkness Descends, especially for me, because I had fell in love with this record for the first time I even heard it. Back in 2008, when I first really started checking out little by little of thrash metal bands, at least at the time, especially some more ones that I didn't even know about, because all I knew about was, of course, Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, and Megadeth, and of course, even I knew about Exodus and Testament. But Dark Angel was the first band that I kind of remember really being, especially just the artwork for Darkness Descends. I was so enthralled by it. Of course, last week I talked about Exciter's Heavy Metal Mania and how that album cover definitely took me by storm and everything. How it just really engraved itself into my mind. That's the same thing that happened with Darkness Descends. The whole artwork had just engraved itself with, of course, since Metaltober takes place in October, there's no other fitting October album than Darkness Descends. This album definitely has that whole kind of Halloween feel to it, just even from the cover. It's got the tombstone with the title being engraved into it, and of course you got the little zombie hands coming out, of course being very inspired by the whole Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead kind of stuff. You know, your George A. Romero, your zombie kind of sort of feel and everything. But musically, the album is definitely just as undead as as pretty much the artwork itself. And I'm not putting that in a bad way. I'm putting that in the best, most humble way as possible. Because this album is pretty much, to me, when it comes to brutal thrash metal, what I really think of, this is definitely one of those albums. And to be quite honest, I really think the sound is way better than Rain in Blood by Slayer. I know that's such a almost an unpopular opinion, even though there's many unpopular opinions about this album. But to be quite honest, I don't give a shit. This is what I personally think. And if you want to come in raw your fucking speeches about how you disagree and everything, go ahead, right along. I don't care. Still, maybe it starts out with the title track. It's just fucking rip-roaring from start to finish, to then the burning of Sodom, Hunger of the Undead, the re-recording of Merciless Death, Death is Certain, Life is Not, Black Prophecies, of course, the very last track on the album being, well, perish in flames. And everything is just rip roaring. But one of the highlights of this album is that, of course, is not just Don Dottie, who of course definitely stepped up a bit of his vocal pattern or his vocal style on this album. Sure, it's a little bit more guttural, and definitely Darkness Descends definitely served alongside Rain and Blood, definitely as being influences on the whole death metal genre. But here, of course, we got Gene Hoglan, who of course definitely was a much step up from Jack Schwartz, who of course was the drummer on We Have Arrived, the debut album from Dark Angel. But everything from the sound, his whole drumming is just, you know why it was a step up. He's just more technical at times. He's more fearsome. He just fits the whole entire album. Sure, it's an assault, but isn't that what thrash metal at times is? It's an assault on the ears. It's not really meant to be listened to as, you know, it's not supposed to be like, you know, brilliant or thing. It's not supposed to be something that's easy or, you know, it's not being supposed to be like Mozart or something like that. It's fucking thrash metal. What are you really hoping to hear from this album anyways? It's just rip-roaring, shredding, razor-sharp guitars and everything. And that's all about. It's about, of course, aggression and everything. That's basically what you get with it. And it pulls it off in pretty much the most greatest way as you can expect. Just a great album. From start to finish, of course, production being produced by Randy Burns, who of course produced at the same year Megadeth's breakthrough mainstream album, their debut mainstream album, Peace Sells, who of course produced Hellstar's Remnants of War, which of course was released on the same year. So, and of course the album was released through Combat, which of course had also released Hellstar's Remnants of War, and of course had co-released Megadeth's Peace Sells, but who's buying alongside Capitol Records though. So with that, it's everything about this album I really like. And of course, though, when it comes to Dark Angel, you always have your people with their opinions on which era they like the most, the Don Dottie era or the Ron Reinhardt. Me, I pretty much like both eras, to be quite honest. There really isn't anything that I prefer most. It's like, yes, things got a bit more tighter and more technical when Ron Reinhardt came in, especially on the Leave Scars album, but I like the Leave Scars album, and I like the Darkness Descends album, and I also like We Have Arrived. And I also kind of like Time Does Not Heal. But all four of the albums I have appreciations for, and I like them for what they are. I appreciate the raw, aggressive nature and unpolishedness of Darkness Descends and We Have Arrived. And even Leave Scars has a very unpolished feel to it, but you can definitely tell that sure, musically, it's a more technical version of Darkness Descends. But I also definitely do like the more polished, definitely more refined and technicalness of Time Does Not Heal. Even though maybe I don't like it as much as the other three, I still have an appreciation for that album. So with that, and of course, the band has been back together for quite some time now. But of course, who knows when they really are going to get to release a new album, because I am definitely eagerly waiting for another offering from this classic thrash metal band from the 1980s. So with that, if you've never checked this album out, this is definitely one of those talked about thrash metal albums. Really, you could still easily get this on CD and everything. And of course, there is reissues of it. But what I said earlier, I kind of would like to own an original, but if not, I may have to go after one of the reissues. Definitely on the High Roller Records label on vinyl. But with that, if you have checked this album out, what are your thoughts? I know everyone's going to have varying different opinions and everything, and I really don't mind it. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed this album of the week, and I hope you all enjoyed this whole entire month of Metaltober for this channel. I hope everyone has a great Halloween. So until then, This is Heavy Thrasher Sam out, and I'll see you all again later or here real soon. So, everyone, take care.